You're on.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Any guests that want to have anything to say besides you, Robert? Oh, no, Robert.
Yeah, I want to say something.
Well, I do that. What do you want to say?
You know, I got a petition here for Larry. He's our elected person from our area. You can pass that down. On the quadrilateral, I've been there since '79, and you know, they cut up that Robert Varela farm and a lot of those other farms. And when I was first there, they were stealing my hay as quick as I could bale it. And the ditch rider at that time, it was Bob. That was when you were the Bureau of Reclamation. He had earplugs, he had a dairy, and I don't know where it was. He said, "We'll put up a gate," and at that time we could put up gates. And I had one neighbor, you know, there were three of us back there, and I got a nasty letter from Ed that, for the betterment of the community, you need to take down your gate. So I took it down. And several years ago, our neighbor had a gate put up because his son was in danger of being run over. Well, this guy has put up a junkyard wall made out of old semi stuff, and he doesn't even live there. And that's one of the petitions. There's like 3 or 4 from the neighborhood, but we've only got 2 ways to get in there, on either side of the quadrilateral. And when it rains or when there's a car off or whatever, it's a real inconvenience. If the guy's not going to be there, we'd like to have the gate opened up. And what else can we say?
Yeah, that's a Robert Varela subdivision, and we got the same problem up here, the same deal. They used our canal banks as being in and out. I think there's something that's going on that might kind of alleviate some of that. The county's.
Yeah, but you know, at that time, there were 3 of us back there. Now there's like 40 of them, and some of those lots, they've got 4 people per lot, 4 houses per lot, so there's a lot of people back there. Yeah, the only other thing I've got is I know that the season's gonna go on, all that. You know, my PEMA guy's gonna be gone. He's never gonna be back. And you know, I know they pump a lot of water and stuff, and it's gonna be expensive, and I don't know how your deal on the season is, but I think I'm gonna lose all my alfalfa, even the stuff I planted last year. It's gonna be gone. And I don't really even see my pecan tree surviving. But what I'm gonna do, I need to, you know, I guess I didn't do a very good job in my research, because back in the you know, the 50s and the 70s, they said that there wasn't any water even in Unit 9. Apparently I screwed up. I should have bought Unit 9 instead of 8 because things have turned around. But I'd rather, what we really need there is we need water in like October, because I need to put oats or wheat or barley on everything, because I'm up to the point where I need to have a crop on there to preserve my ag exemption. If that makes any sense. Even if it does, if we don't get any winter water or whatever, I'll pile under. But you know, we're in a bind here, and you know, I know that the flat rate people, that they like irrigating and all that stuff, but you drive by and they got 4 foot of water on something that's teed with clay. I thought, man, what a waste, you know. And then it turns into mosquitoes and stuff. But I know y'all are in a problem here and stuff, but you know, it's going to cost a lot of money to pump and stuff. But I think, in my opinion, I need a shot of water in October to grow some wheat or barley or oats. That's all I got.
You need to pray to the good Lord that there's something to have in October.
Well,
so,
yeah, but maybe, I mean,
we control, but we're probably going into the worst year we've ever experienced.
I'm talking about the return flow stuff.
Oh, well,
You know, that other stuff, I know that there's not going to be much, and you know, with the price of Sudan stuff, I'm not even going to plant it because there's no guarantee, and it's expensive and stuff. But I know that if I can get oats or barley and wheat in there with one watering, I got a chance of getting some winter water and doing something with it. If not, I'll plow it under and I'm not out as much money. But I need to have some crops on my ground, because with no PEMA guy there and nothing there, I'm going to lose my exemptions.
all right.
That makes any sense? Thank you.
You bet.
I just want to go
All right.
further.
Anybody else? Okay. The minutes of the April 14th and 19th meeting were in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections to that minutes? favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Oh, there you are.
I'm on board, okay?
Okay, good. I didn't know you were there, but that's great, Bill. Moving right along here. Item number 5, no, number 4. You have anything, Lisa? No, right?
No.
Okay, number 5, Larry. Okay, financial report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our investment report, at this time, we don't have anything maturing until July 5th. Our rates are still low with the treasury bill. Just looking at the rates this morning, they're at 0.03, 0.05. The highest is 0.10 at 1 year, a year and a half.
Those are T-bill rates?
Those are T-bill rates.
Wow.
So we're lucky to receive the higher rates here with Westar on our certificate of deposits.
Went up from this rate.
It's funny you say the higher rates, and the rate is 0.5.
Yeah.
That's the higher, my gosh, what is the lower?
Next is our balance sheet.
Questions or comments about the balance sheet? Chief?
Next is our net revenue. We did receive last month a reimbursement on our grants. We did receive $478,000 on the Riverside concrete mining project and $75,000 for the Mahoning drain.
It's not showing in here.
It is. It's on line 40400, account 4040.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 481.
And we are at about 82% of our collection for our net revenue.
Any questions or comments? You're getting already quickly this morning. Easily.
We're coming up on our $500 check.
I'm still looking for a $500 check. Ah, there's one.
And as had been requested last board meeting on, Mary identified what's reimbursable by the grants, the different grants that we have, so you'll see on the last column the
Asterisk.
No, okay.
That could be a vote for you, that one out. Are we on that 500?
Yes,
All right, line 1. What in the heck is a JLG boom lift telehandler? What kind of machine is that?
it's
It's a skyjack. It's like a forklift type. It's a forklift type of,
It
right.
goes way up high?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So we bought one?
Yes, sir. We did put in the budget for it, though. It was approved.
Okay. How high is
It
it?
extends and everything, Pete?
Yes, sir.
Those
Yes,
60 nice ones?
yeah.
60 feet? Wow.
And Pete uses it for when we get delivery of pipe. It just makes it much easier and quicker to unload those trucks, and then we also use it on the shotcrete projects.
It's also a used machine. It's also a used machine.
Okay.
We put a cable on it, make it a crane.
Little winch, you put a little winch motor.
Pete got his crane and now still trying. GCC, Sun City Materials ought to be real happy. A lot of stuff from them.
Yeah, that's a lot of shotcrete stuff.
which is good, means we're doing something. Any questions or comments about the?
Item number 40, what's that? Sage software?
Sage, that's the software that Maryland utilizes in county.
Yes, it's have a certain IQ to use it, but they say.
Yeah, you have to be pseudo-sage.
Can't be a baby boomer, you gotta be a millennial. Kim Smith, law stuff, is there, we wanna talk about that later. There's a pretty big check out of Kim Smith, I can't remember what, was he on what, labor?
That's on all the depositions that we took on one of the cases.
Okay,
We can discuss it in the close.
okay.
Hey, Johnny,
Yes, sir.
Johnny, on, going back to the Sage software, is that a yearly subscription? Or a quarterly subscription?
That's our yearly maintenance subscription.
That's the yearly rate for maintenance, right?
Correct.
And help and support.
For the support?
Well, for the software upgrades and the support and everything.
Okay.
I mean, we could do without it, but I think they have too many things we want, right?
No, unfortunately, on typical software like that, if you don't maintain the yearly rate, the yearly package that they always ask for, they kick you out, and you go back to it, they don't want to help you unless you pay back the however many years or you missed out on the maintenance agreement. If they want you back.
Right, yeah, and plus the updates to keep up with the window changes, so.
Exactly.
So we just do it.
Right. That's all I have.
Okay, anything else?
71, you've got 2 tires there, I guess. Pete, two 16-ply and 2 tires, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's tractor tires.
I know, but is it 4 tires or is it?
Yes, it's 2-ply and 2 tractor tires.
16 ply in front or the back?
16-ply is the
It's
back
a truck.
tires.
Oh,
It's
okay.
truck.
Yeah, they just bought some, they're not cheap anymore, that's for sure.
No.
16
Pete,
2 tractor tires, yes.
Pete,
How are we doing on that dyed diesel? We're using it on all the equipment now, or
Yes, yeah, the only thing we're not using it is on the dump trucks.
on the dump trucks, right?
Yes.
Things that go on the road, right? That
Yes.
mean Driving, okay. That saved quite a bit of money, huh?
Quite a bit, yes.
I have a question, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
On the, there's a slew of items for shotcrete material. That's the cost for, I'm assuming the actual concrete mix, right? And is GCC the one that has got the awarded contract for supplying us at this point?
That's correct. We went out on bids last, what was it, August, I believe, getting ready for the season coming up, and GCC was the low bidder and was the awarded bidder.
Okay, because I remember at one time Mini Concrete, or what have you, was doing some of our work. I was just curious how they ended up doing it, because I had never heard of them before.
Mini Concrete does a real good job. In fact, we're using them on the island main. They were the second lowest bidder, and GCC couldn't provide us with concrete that we needed at the island, so we went to the next bidder, and it was Mini Concrete.
I was just curious why, is Joe still bidding us, or is this material very difficult to use, or is it, I understand it's got to have a certain slurry to be able to be mixable or usable for our shotgun machine?
We had five bidders. Joe was one of the bidders. He was the highest bidder on it.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
so we include, when we go out for bid, we advertise and we try and communicate with each concrete company. So
Well, 5 is pretty good, I mean, that's a pretty good turnout, so that means you got pretty good competitive rates. I'm assuming, how much is the cubic yard going for now? Or are we getting it from, or is it a little bit?
It's 110.
110 was the low bid.
Okay. Thank you.
That's 4 cents. 3 cents.
150 some was the high bid.
It's special.
Wow.
For the, it's got the plasticizer also, so we can get you the specs. if you
Gotta
want
keep
that.
more
It's
liquid.
got fiber, it's a special,
So it's got
highly,
fiber and all of it.
Right,
yeah,
and
it's
then
gotta go through.
the rock has to be a certain size.
Yeah,
We can't
round.
do it where it won't
I
plug
think,
on.
I think that's why they bid it real high, some of these folks, because they got a set of batch plant just dedicated to the shot creek, and they gotta outweigh the business aspect of it, if it's worth it or not.
Right, right. And the material's good for our machines, it's not getting pumped up in our machines, right?
We get a plug every once in a while, but that's because we get a rock that's oversized, but it's usually from a delivery that they've done earlier in the day, or that a rock stayed in the machine, in their delivery truck. So it doesn't happen often, but when it happens,
No, I'm just curious.
when it happens, it's downtime for about half an hour to an hour to clean it out, to unplug it. So the men have gotten real good at, we keep an extra set of hoses there, so they just switch them out. And that doesn't delay the actual pouring of the concrete. But we do have to work on unplugging that
Well,
hose.
After all these years, we got a pretty good system now, looks like.
Yes.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions of the fiber?
I got one left. How many oil companies do we deal with? Is it all bidded out? Because you got brewery, you got
Yes.
DNR, because,
It's on, it depends on what they request, and we do have our purchasing agent that goes out for bids.
okay. I thought on brewery, they got some of them based on 110 gallons and another one 440 quarts, which is the same thing. But I thought the hydraulic oil was more than motor oil.
The price,
Yeah,
it's not as cheap.
cheaper, the lighter oil. Let's see there, that's got 440. Okay. They're not wrong. No big deal, I was wondering if it was a bidding process.
Yeah,
I got a question, another question regarding the rentals. Are we going up for bid on the rentals, or do we have volume, rotating, contract with any of these rental companies, or is it just the best price gets it?
no, we go out on bid, and then Pete and the mechanics actually physically go out and review what the low bid is, and see if that equipment will work for us. Sometimes the low bid equipment will not work for us, so Pete goes out there and makes that decision.
Okay, perfect.
Anything else? Okay, this is the one report nobody wants to look at. We have to, this is legal and consulting fee budget. That was not even listed.
I don't know. Nothing at all, Kenny. We don't get a copy of that, right, or not?
You don't even know what it says, so.
I didn't. Let's get credit card. Okay. All right, well, let's go back to the credit card one. I skipped that.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll save the best for the last.
But gee, thanks.
Before the first question is asked on professional development, we've got, now that the country's opening back up again, we've got the World of Concrete coming up, and Pete has scheduled himself and 3 of his supervisors to travel, so that's some of the travel and hotel reservations.
Where's it gonna be, Pete?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas where it usually is.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
It's outside.
We're gonna have to talk about this.
That's been held for the last, I guess, what, 10 years there?
Yeah, I've been nowhere else but there.
I think it's every other year, isn't it?
No, World
It's
Con,
every
it's every year. It's the Con Expo, that's every 4 years.
Oh, the equipment.
But they're scheduled for some classes on concrete.
Shotcrete.
Shotcrete stuff, so,
You learn a lot at those kind of meetings, you really do.
yeah, they've picked up some good ideas.
It's huge. Is it like 60 acres or some huge number?
Yeah, it's big. I don't know how big it is, but it's big.
They show equipment and everything right there?
Yes, sir, yeah, there's, anything you could ask for, it's there.
I think those classes are really good, and as far as techniques and usage, and it goes from craftsmen, how to use the trowel and place concrete, as well as figuring out the ratios of concrete and all the types of plasticizers or whatever it is that they use for what we use specifically, the shotcrete. I found it very interesting a few years ago when I went that we were just prior to getting into the shotcrete business, we started looking at shotcrete machines. And I think Pete I believe he got some ideas from there that was very helpful when it came time to purchasing our machines. So absolutely, I think this is a very good piece of information that we can get, because you get the latest industry technology as it happens real time. So I think that's a very good investment. On another note, Johnny, I have a question on well, actually, I just make a comment for our professional development. I'd like to, just a question for Al and Mary on back to the Sage software that we're using. I know it's a pretty good investment on our part, and we've taken some classes. My question is, because I'm assuming it's got a lot of bells and whistles. And how much more training do we have, or have we already mastered that software?
So it's very on it. I mean, because we were planning to go to the training sessions, but we canceled them all because they were scheduled for last year. I don't know if you rescheduled any of that, or I don't know when that conference is.
I need to look into and see what's the next available.
I think it's in August, isn't it? Or
It
September?
usually is, and
Yeah, so,
In Las Vegas, I'm sure.
I believe it's in Florida.
Miami, sorry.
I thought it was Hawaii, but okay.
that was the year that got canceled, was when it was.
No, I think they're in Tampa, Florida, right?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions of the credit card report? There are none. Let's go to the legal and consulting fee budget. Any questions of that, or is everybody afraid to ask?
I'm afraid to look at it, so.
I'm not looking at it. No. All I can say is, from my perspective, we got a great team. And we've had this, all this money's been spent because it's absolutely necessary.
Morning.
Okay, all right, let's move along now. Rose, you're on. Where's Rose? There's Rose right there.
Sonia's gonna give the report.
That's Sonia Rose. Go ahead, Sonia.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna start with our tax adjustments. We had three this month, for April. First one was on Soto. We are adjusting, .11, it's going to the state of Texas for right away on the first one. So we're gonna take away some taxes from there. We took off some other property and it became right away on Soto.
You want to just do all three and we'll approve them all at once?
All at once, okay. And then we have two others for Hill Incorporated. We're taking off the taxes on, they became exempt this year. It's a health network facility now. So they reported that they're exempt for this year, so we're removing the taxes on the two for Heal Incorporated.
What is Heal Incorporated?
It's kind of like a WellMed, and it's like a group of doctors, and they, I
And
guess.
that's tax exempt.
Well, you know, something that's tax exempt is to a different entity is not necessarily tax exempt to all our charges.
Correct, but they are tax exempt through the city of El Paso, so we make them exempt, so we're removing the taxes for this year, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Because they're tax exempt through the city, they qualified, so we made them exempt, so we're taking off the taxes for this year. They qualified.
Well, what the CAD does doesn't affect us 1 hour.
But they are an exempt property.
Why are they exempt as to us?
They're a health network, sir. We don't charge taxes on them. So we follow the protocol when they apply for exemption. With the city, they qualify for it, so we also accept the exemption. Like churches, other doctor facilities and hospitals, we also accept, and school districts. Accept the exemption for them.
We might want to visit about that afterwards,
Okay?
okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, should we approve them or not
We have those
approve
three
them
for
then?
approval.
Pardon me?
Those are the only three we have this month. Those are the only three we have this month for tax exemptions.
But I'm wondering if we should go ahead and approve them all, or,
Do you want
Well, I'm not quite sure. We don't exempt anything based on what the CAD does. They don't affect us, period.
is Heal Incorporated, is that part of any governmental entity? Is that part of the city, or?
It's,
It sounds strange to me too.
Like WellMed, they're privately owned.
they're privately owned.
Some of the doctors that work for WellMed, it's a privately owned.
And they're tax exempt.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see.
How many of them?
I don't
Yeah.
That's a lot of them.
We could look more into it, Mr. Stoner.
On those two, let's
I
make
think
sure,
we
we
gotta-
don't want to set a precedent that's not right, because
Okay,
if it's not truly tax exempt, I mean, you know, certain churches are and
yes, sir.
governmental entities are, but if this is a private enterprise, I don't know
Yeah,
how they.
they got qualification through the city, so usually our exemptions are usually based off on what they're qualified through the city, so we went that way, that's why we're removing the taxes.
Of course, the city's taxation is a different taxation than ours, because it's, you know, it's ad valorem, but in ours is not, but, we better check into that. We don't want to set I mean, it's not any money, but we don't want to set a precedent
Yes,
that's not totally legal, so let's table those two.
okay,
And no action taken on those two, and
and the one on cell
we'll
phone?
revisit.
Okay, yes, sir.
And,
I make a motion, we approve the assessment on the social property.
number one, okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
If George seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Oh, no.
Can we get a list of the properties that are tax exempt, so that these are mine? Who
Yes, sir.
is and who isn't?
It's a long,
Is it
That's a long list.
Well, you should have that, see, all, we should have
It's all
that.
metal.
We have it, it's in the database, we can.
Yeah, they
But
have-
normally it's a governmental.
Like 3,000.
This is the only one I've ever seen.
Or a church. It's either a government or a church.
Yeah, it's not a, if
You
it's
know,
not
it's
a profit.
501c3s are nonprofit incorporated things, and they're, churches are a version of that, they're not C3. C3 is common, a neighborhood association could be that, Red Cross.
Well, it may be, I just, it
I
looks
mean, it just
strange.
depends, we can look at what you guys, and probably ultimately for us, you guys can make the decision which ones you want to accept.
Because it's not necessarily.
It can't be arbitrary, it'll have to be based on, but, you know, there's a lot of private, nonprofit corporations, I mean,
Yeah, I'll look
there's
at it.
almost all the charities.
Profit or not, or for profit or not.
Yeah. If they're for profit,
If
they
it's
shouldn't
owned by a
be in
bunch of
it.
doctors, it's for profit.
Our former general manager had 3 501c3s, and you guys recall, not 2. People have 501c3s for all sorts, it was for high school scholarships, and for rodeo events, and like the rodeo was a 501c3. So, It's pretty,
Well, what does
churches,
501c3 come in now on our taxes?
they can petition, I think it's up, the board has to review it and decide, I think. when
So it's optional by the board?
You'll have to look up that, I don't think it's optional, I think they gotta make a determination one way or the other, and then we hold that for all those people, so.
Well, yeah, we just need to, it just looks weird and maybe it's right, but we need to make sure.
We'll research for you and then it's
Okay.
answered.
Yeah, I'll check with Rose on,
Yeah.
but there's a bunch of them out there, boy.
Next, we have
Well,
the,
see what Rose, our taxes system, of course, you know very well better than I do, but it's based upon being irrigable or not. That's the main criteria. Is it irrigable? And you can have nonprofits right and left that are subject to our taxes.
Yeah, no, Jim's exactly right, and Rose, I talked to her about this before, and there's a case, there's state case law on it. Glenn Jarvis, you remember that attorney that we had?
Yes.
Jarvis, he was involved in that, and he's sort of an expert in that type of stuff. And my understanding of it is that, I think obviously like county, local government, state government, and federal government, we recognize that's all we have to. It's up to you guys on the 501c3. So a lot of the districts I know don't recognize any 501c3s.
Yeah, that's what that's got me.
Have we
I'm up on that.
recognized other ones?
Well, they go off whatever the city recognizes,
Yes.
so
Yes.
we'd have to research each one of them. I got a feeling we probably have previously recognized some that we may not have known that that's what they were, but some 501c3s name themselves things that look like government. So,
Right.
Johnny's just saying, we need to be consistent.
yeah, I think it'd be it'll be pretty easy to find out. Jake, we run all of
I'm looking
all of
at
ours, we run ours through the Secretary of State's database first to make sure that
They're
who we're
not-
dealing with.
They're not registered with the Secretary of State. That's a correct spelling, H-E-A-L?
H-E-A-L.
H-E-A-L.
Incorporate.
Well, let's do that after the meeting, we'll bring it out.
All 501c3s have to register with the Secretary of State and declare.
All right, what about the Public Service Board assignments? Have any questions about that?
They're taxes
But they pay a lot of taxes.
in lieu of.
We'll let them be tax exempt. But whatever they pay, we'll bump them. Okay, the tax assessments and charges, you want to talk about that any?
We're just trailing from here, from last year 2020, very little, but we can, hopefully with the water coming in for the small tracks and everything, we'll get a little bit, our percentages will go a little bit higher, and people want to pay more when the water's coming, or they wait till the water gets here.
Right,
Okay?
right. Well, they may not this year, because they're not gonna get much. I said, heck with it, I'll turn on the faucet.
It's more expensive than the faucet.
Just to take another second. Our tax exempt status is determined by chapter 55 or chapter 61 of the water code. And if we're not, if it doesn't say it's exempt there, it's not exempt. It doesn't make any difference. Whether they're a bunch of doctors, that's immaterial to us. It doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter.
We'll do our research, sir.
Okay. I'll be glad to help you work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, General Manager,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm moving ahead and I didn't thank you. Thanks for the report. So,
Okay. That first item, there was a lot of questions on grant funding and documentation and so on last meeting, and so I brought Omar. He's going to give us a quick 2-minute presentation on the Riverside Canal grant project. This is the grant for $1 million that we received from the Bureau of Reclamation. So there's certain things that we are required to document and meet, and Omar will go through that
Just
right
tell me
away.
all advance.
And then I asked him to bring the binder, that, he's got a binder. Will you raise your binder, Omar?
I don't know about that.
We have a binder for each grant that we're awarded, whether it be state or federal, and all the documentation is in there. But Mary and Omar get together and they put in a lot of work documenting
RF.
all the equipment that we utilize, the manpower, we have to justify all the hours and so on in order to get reimbursed. Mary mentioned the reimbursement that we just got for $465,000. That was half of what the grant was, and had we already received a payment on that, Mary, before, on that grant? Or do we have a balance?
We still have a balance.
We still have a balance outstanding that we'll be presenting to the Bureau for payment. But Omar will go through that.
So in summary, for us to be able to get that reimbursement of 460-some thousand, it takes about, a report about this size, it's 170 pages more or less. And so at the request of Mr. Reyes, I'm going to explain the process that it takes for us to get to that reimbursement. Applying for the grants and receiving the awards, that's the easy part. That's what we celebrate, but actually managing the money and managing the project, that's where most of the workload comes in. And so the project we're going to talk about is the Riverside Canal. It's going to be from the Bustamante wastewater treatment plant to the Partidor check structure. And then because we had adjustments on the budget, we have to do 2 extra sections. It's a section, what we call section B, 1,040 feet south of Riverside Wasteway 1, sorry, downstream of Riverside Wasteway 1. And then a third section C, it's 1,110 feet downstream. That's already getting well into the Socorro Ponds property. So in summary, so we started the project up until the 31st of March, we expended $1,102,286 and change. Of that, we have been reimbursed $478,734 and change. And we have available still in the bank $520,265 and change. And so when I say the bank, the Bureau of Reclamation has this online system where once you submit your report, you request a reimbursement, and by the next day, the money will be available to Mary and Beck. And so they hold the money there for us. Other thing, because of changes in prices, because we got such a favorable quote for the shotcrete, for example, and because we removed the use of steel panels on a section of the project, we actually had to revise our project cost. So originally, the project was going to be $2.3 million. Because of these savings, we reduced it to a little bit over $2 million. So that this comes at the benefit of the district. And again, the grant amount that Reclamation gives us remains the same. We expect to complete this project by June the 30th or earlier, and we expect the final reimbursement, that $520,000, back by July 15 or earlier. And so you're free to grab the report and take a glance if you'd like, but I took out the important parts and summarized them here in this presentation for you. In a nutshell, this is a summary of our expenditures. I compared what we had originally proposed to Reclamation and our actual expenses. And you can see we're definitely under budget other than labor and fringe. And essentially we have more men working, we're reporting more men working on the field than we had originally planned for. But that also means we're getting reimbursed for more money of our guys working there.
That's
so
our share, is the
yes,
labor.
Exactly. And again, we still have 478 left over. And the way we report our expenditures is working through Mary and her team, also Pete and his team. We essentially report every hour that our equipment is being used on the project. And so in summary, we have about 40 different pieces of equipment working out there. They contributed a total of 12,233 work hours to the project, and their worth to Reclamation per our negotiations was $388,800 and change. This is not money that we actually expend, it's the value of the equipment use that goes into the project. And so we charge it as in kind.
It's capital recovery for
Yes.
what we paid that money for the equipment, that's the share that we can recover for this job.
In terms of employee contributions, as I said, we're over budget when it comes to labor, but that also means we're getting reimbursed for more. We actually were able to get reimbursed for 19,913 work hours of our staff, 70 employees.
Everybody's working on the job, huh?
Well, keep in mind that the reason that Pete moved so many men in there to work on it, we had a deadline to meet. It was almost 1.5 miles of project that we had to do, and we were under the gun on delivering return flow to the farmers. So we wanted to complete that section, and it was one of our main arteries where we get the return flow, the sewer treated water. So that's why Pete decided to move the amount of manpower that we utilize there.
That's correct. And so here what you see in this slide is all of our actual expenditures, meaning the cash that we dished out to different vendors, whether it's for engineering for the seepage test or it's for rentals, we're getting reimbursed for the shotcrete, for pretty much everything. Except porta potties, but that's just a couple $100. And so what I'm going to show you, that's pretty much in a nutshell. Do you have any questions on how we report the expenditures and the amount of work it takes to get to that point? Okay. So what I'm going to show you is before and after. This is pretty much what Reclamation cares about. And so when I report to Reclamation, they just want to see the before and after, either in photo form or video. And these are the exact pictures I sent to them. So that's at the heading where we started. That's where one of the wells is. Right immediately upstream is the discharge for the Bustamante wastewater treatment plant, where we get the return flow. So that's the before and after. These were taken in 2019, in August of 2019, the befores. And the afters were taken right around April 10th, 11.
A little bit narrower.
Yeah.
And that's more evident now in the areas.
Looking good.
Right here, we're right next to the Rio Bosque Park.
We're gonna put 2 lanes on all of our canals, along the 2-lane road.
That's where it gets to the particular check structure. And then as we're moving downstream below Way 1, you can see the before. That was around early 2020. And now where we're at, this is a little bit more recent. We're talking April-ish, end of April. We're laying down, Pete is laying down the steel panels and shaping the dirt. You can see the big difference at the bank that's right next to the border wall. Essentially now we can drive through it. Whereas before it was very difficult.
And we didn't, that's not our property. But we had to do it. That's the federal government.
Right, but when we narrowed the canal, it just.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, now the border patrol can utilize that side next to the fence.
And yeah,
Is that to open the gates to let everybody in?
it's to mow the weeds is what it's for.
Seriously?
Yeah, then the gates are
Builds a wall and the other guy opens the gate. Go figure.
So that's all I have for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And I asked Omar, if you all have time and you'd like to pass that big notebook around, you can see all the work that Mary and Omar have to document and report to the Bureau of Reclamation or Texas Water Development Board. And I will tell you that the before and after pictures that you're seeing up there have been forwarded as far as up to David Palumbo in Washington, D.C. The Bureau is using them in presentations that they're doing and showing what their grant money is producing, and which is a big plug for us also.
I suspect y'all do more work than Pete does in keeping it around.
We didn't tell you
I know it's a lot harder work.
out of the 70 people, 35 are other county.
And I know Omar said that the preparation of the grant application is the easiest, but it's still a lot of work and documentation.
There's nothing easy about dealing with the federal government.
Right. Thanks, Omar.
Thanks,
Hey, Omar, I got a question.
Sure thing.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, great job. This is a very impressive presentation as far as where we're at on what you're doing and so forth. I've always known that you were doing quite a bit of work from the grant perspective, and we've been very successful with all your team, Chewy and everybody. I would like to, first of all, how many grants total do we have that are in progress? Is this the only one, or is there others?
First, thank you for the compliment. Second, we have 11 active contracts with either the federal government or the state government.
Okay, is there, I mean, I love what you did, and you're kind of one of our, top secret individuals, that we're not letting anybody know about you, but is there any way that we can start, I know this is something I should ask Chewy, but I love this presentation, and if I could get, or even if it's an individual report, on the status, exactly what you did, but maybe not as depth, but just kind of, because the report on what is actually spent and the total gives me a very good overall perspective, a bird's eye view, when I'm looking at costs on $500 report or balance sheets, so I can tie it back in and make it all make sense to me. Is that something that could be possible, Chewy?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, you're welcome to come in anytime. We'll sit with you
Okay.
and go through it. But one thing about keeping Omar secret, yes, I don't want anybody stealing them away from us.